my name is Charlie Correa. I'm the creator of the Vanquishers trading card game. Okay, so I like video games. I play video games religiously. For those that know who I am, knows that I love video games. I would always invite my friends over. We would always have this thing called board games, board night. And we would be playing board games, whether if it's Risk and all kinds of other games like that within that nature. And one day I was actually fiddling with Unreal Engine. Unreal Engine actually allowed people to download it and kind of fiddle with how to develop video games. And I was kind of intrigued with being a gamer. You know, I figured maybe I can do it. In 2016, I was actually very interested in card games. I was playing digital card games and I was playing physical, tangible card games. And at that time, it kind of captured my creativity and my thought process of knowing that I could sit back for hours and lose myself for hours to build a deck exclusively to beat another deck specifically. And I just kept doing that and doing that, and eventually I ended up finding a way of building one universal deck that worked for almost any type of combat. And I decided to build a card game, and I was fascinated by it. And then also at the time I was playing a shooter game that kind of inspired me, which was very futuristic. And I knew immediately, based off that game and how things ran, how I wanted to make my universe. I wanted to make my universe very futuristic. So when I developed my Versus system, I presented it to my friend, Jason, and he looked at it, he was like, yo, this is a cool system, man. We should definitely jump off this. He was like, this is amazing. I like this. We have something here.
So I'm Jason Bratlin, co-creator of Vanquishers. What I do is come in and look at the different ideas and different expansions that we are creating with our universe and help create the direction for the world we're building and the universe we're building. This is a game in which we built a system unlike any other card system in the world, where you can actually go heads up with anyone across the board. If you want to fight against your best friend, you want to go to a tournament, you want to go ahead and have a game night with your friends, we're building a system and a gameplay that has created those opportunities for you to do. And it gives you the ability to customize your own characters, to customize your own gameplay, and actually play the way you would like in an actual video game. Well, trading card games was kind of the highlight of my youth. That was like one of the main things that drove me, gave me an opportunity to learn how to trade with another person, fight against another person in a way. So a lot of this card gameplay comes back to a world where you have to use your mind as the weapon before anything else. And that's why we went in the direction of a card game.
So we had a game night one day and invited more of my friends over, and we just started talking, you know, small talk over the table and stuff like that. And I kind of showed my other friends the concept of what I was putting together.
I'm Brandon Rodriguez. I am a developer for Vanquishers TCG. Specifically, I help with game balancing, story, and character development. So Charlie invited me over, like he always does. We have our game nights, we get together and, you know, we play board games, you know, we hang out, just have an overall good time. And one of these nights, it was towards the end of the night, and he was like, yo B, check out what I got. It's this card game I've been working on. And so I went and looked at it. He asked me, do you know anything about card games? And I was like, nope, I have know nothing at all about card games. So from there, he continued to show me, and he's like, are you interested in helping out with the project? And I was like, yeah, I am interested in helping out with the project. So we talked about it a little bit more, and we went from there. So he showed me the game, and he started talking to me about the card game. And one of the things I noticed right away was some of the stuff that he was using really didn't belong to him. So I was like, it's really cool, great concept, but that doesn't belong to you. Where are you gonna go from here?
I'm like, man, at the time of developing, after creating a great combat system, a great card game, I didn't really think past that point. One of my friends recommended for us to build our own universe. Why don't you just create your own characters and do your own things and create your own world? And that's when it finally dawned upon me. I was like, yeah, you know what? You're right, I should.
Well, inspiration comes from a lot of different directions. In my youth growing up, I grew up on anime, I grew up on G.I. Joe, I grew up on Transformers, I grew up on a whole world that opened my eyes to the creative aspect of when you can touch your mind and bring it out to this world that we live in and make it reality. And to me, what Vanquisher is a culmination of all the things that I grew up loving and being able to apply and bring them into this new universe and world that we have in front of us. Going into the TCG, my position was as a co-creator to find the oppositional settings of what we already had in play and how we could go ahead and expand on those things, knowing that these are the oppositions in the situation, or what could be the next step or the direction we could go in, or how this could conflict with an overall aspect of this world.
The first character that came to mind was Saigon. At the time, Saigon just seemed very powerful, so I already knew immediately I had a character, I had a lead, I had a strong character to run with. Now I needed an antagonist of some sort, and nothing and no one came to mind. I could not come up with a character. So I reached out to another good friend of mine, Tycon. I was leaving work one day, and I remember this clearly. I was in the car, and I called him over the phone, and I'm like, hey Tycon, he's just like, yo, what's up? How you doing, man? I haven't heard from you in a while. And I'm like, yeah, I'm doing good. I'm developing a card game, kind of informed him what I've been working on for a little bit of time. And I was like, listen, man, you know, not that I think you're a bad guy or nothing like that, but I know that you play card games like I do, and I just need a bad guy character. And he was like, yo, man, I don't know. The first thing that comes to my mind when I think of a bad guy or somebody that's a big threat, man, is somebody with the name of like Omega or something like that. Just sounds very threatening and just somebody you wouldn't want to mess with. And it dawned upon me, I was like, that's it.
So, you know, I'd say a couple weeks later, we have another get together like we always do. And then all of a sudden he pulls it out and it's totally changed. It's a whole new game. And I'm like, oh, wow. I was like, you really took it to another level. So from there, I was like, all right, I'm on board. You know, let's do this.
So it kind of went into cross conversations with me and my friends about the universe and how we can do things and how big the universe would be, and it just started getting bigger and bigger within seconds. Later on that week, I ended up getting a phone call from my friend Brandon, and he was like, hey man, I think I would like to make a character. And so I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. What do you have in mind? He goes, I don't know yet. He goes, but you know, after the conversation, I was inspired to build a character, and I think I want to, you know, help build a character. And I'm like, all right, cool. All right. So, you know, I ended up speaking with Jason and my friend Jose that helped put together a lot of the website that we have in development right now. And he's also one of the ones that are helping to develop the app for the game to give it more of an immersive feel, like you're actually involved into it and keep track of a lot of the point systems.
Hi, my name is Jose, and I'm the web and app developer for Vanquishers TCG. My biggest contribution has been building the website and the mobile app. On the website, you can find details of our universe and our characters. We've also developed this app for you Vanquishers that prefer mobile to make you feel more immersed into our universe. It helps you keep track of all the point values in the game, and it's very easy to play on the go.
Jason was like, yo, we need to go ahead and move with this universe full throttle. So after we have developed the versus system, we started coming through characters back and back. We got characters, then we started making abilities and started expanding from there.
He wasn't expecting me to have a character. He said, yo, B, I know you probably haven't been working on it. And I said, no, I have been working on it. I have my character name. I have my abilities. I have the idea of what I want the character to look like, the weapons, everything. And he was blown away.
So after we've written pretty much all our characters down on paper, we had nothing visual.
With my business partners, the position that I hold is normally I'm doing my hands on a little bit of everything. I don't do direct graphic design or artwork. I do conception with my art team. But I basically go in, we build out the system of this character is going to be vetted around this kind of personality traits or this kind of ability to fight with, and come up with abilities and traits for that character to be unique in comparison to any other adjacent Vanquishers in the world that we're building. I also am the one that helps back any supporting roles that are needed. So if somebody's in a position where they're not understanding or need a direction or need some kind of conversation or consultation, I'm like, this is what we need to do, how do we get there? I help with the brainstorming, basically the R&D, the research and development.
So at this point, we're developing new artwork from scratch. So essentially creating characters within our vision of what we imagine our universe to be like. So we kind of knew where we wanted to go. We kind of knew where we were at in the universe, where we wanted to be futuristic. We knew we wanted it to be super technologically advanced. Characters that could travel through portals and enter in and out of phases and out of the universe and multiverse jumping and stuff like that. Like, we kind of already had the direction what we wanted with it. Now it was bringing it to life. I stumbled upon 2 characters and I was very impressed. I could not let these characters go. So much that I actually took the characters. Didn't know who they belonged to, didn't know where they were, and I kind of just slapped them on my card and said, this is the vision we're going for, guys, right here. So the first 2 characters I got, which I developed another character called Cyber. I took one and created Saigon and then one of Cyber and presented it to my friends, and they were like, this is amazing, I love the direction you're going with, this is what we want. So for a couple months then on, we ended up all kind of searching for characters and things that we can get and use for inspiration to build more characters from. But I just couldn't let go of the first 2 characters. So I kept asking my friend Jason, man, we gotta find this guy. We gotta find the artist that developed these, because he apparently captured the vision of what we want within our universe. And I think now we're at a point where we need to get characters made. We need to really consider getting characters that are ours developed. So we searched the net and we just couldn't find anything for a while. We were at a phase now where we needed to beta test the card games.
A lot of what I do is helping with balancing the game. Looking at the rules, looking at the cards, and looking how everything functions together and making sure everything functions very fluid. You know, everything's very fluid. It runs perfectly. You know, characters aren't overpowered. Certain characters aren't underpowered. Certain weapons aren't overpowered. Certain characters aren't underpowered. Also helping a lot with editing, making sure that the verbiage is correct, terminology is correct, making sure that everything is uniform from card to card, so that one card doesn't use different terminology than a different card. And also with developing characters, developing different types of cards, rift cards, ability cards, trap cards, you know, weapon cards, so on and so on.
So basically, I've always worked with my business partners in different projects. We've done many other business ventures and went through different stepping stones to get to this point. But this project specifically, we've been working on since 2016, which will be coming up on 5 years in 21. But basically hands-on from the ground up foundation since 2016, we've been making this project come to life. Currently in our project, there's been investment from everyone on the team, but basically I've been the financial backing for the majority of all the spending to get this off the ground. Basically I work a 9 to 5, just like any other regular old Joe, but I pull those funds together to just invest into this to get it to the point it's at now for the product that everyone's going to see at this point. In this project, what I basically have funded is the physical copies and makings of the cards to make sure that the quality control is there and that the product that you're holding in hand is just as professional as anything you would buy from the store. I also backed with all the R&D, so research and development, so every card that was made as prototypes and every idea that was conceptualized in the beginning and physically made, I backed all the financing on that.
We ended up finding the artist that actually created the 2 characters, Cyber and Saigon. As we reached out, we started working together and we started talking about getting the artwork done. And I want to say sometime towards the end of 2019, I ended up falling into a big problem. We were getting ready to do a Kickstarter campaign to build up enough funding to be able to pay for characters and revamp the entire card game. But towards the end of 2019, we ended up falling into an issue where COVID was becoming a big thing in China, and it started spilling over American soil, which of course gave us a lot of trials and tribulations. We were meeting up with companies that actually host card games, and they would sell card games, and we introduced them our game, and they were very impressed, and they wanted us to do the beta testing there live. And when COVID struck, we could not do it. Towards the end of 2019, my computer completely died on me. And in that moment, I thought I lost everything. Everything that we have worked for since 2016. All the artwork, all the concepts, all the development that we did, the marketing, advertisements, everything we have paid for, I thought was completely smashed. So immediately I call Jason, and I'm like, yo, Jason, dude, the computer completely crashed. And so my friend was like, listen, just bring it to my house. I'll take a look at it. I'll check the hard drive and make sure everything's good. Just go in and have a good time with your family. And he told me that the hard drive was fine, and that he backed up everything in the hard drive in his hard drive just to make sure there was a backup. So he essentially created a failsafe. The beginning of 2020 and towards the middle of 2020, we already knew we couldn't do the GoFundMes. We already knew we couldn't do Kickstarter. Wasn't gonna work well during the COVID crisis because people were more frantic about reserving money rather than putting towards projects. And so it was a bit discouraging. But during that time frame, we were like, man, what can we do now to help the project continue, to help the project move? You know, we had a lot of people supporting us, a lot of backbone support from a lot of people out there that wants to get this project going. So I stumbled upon an emulator on the PC after I've developed my rig and reinstalled everything and got everything back together.
Originally, when we first started messing around with the gameplay and the balancing aspects, we were using actual cards. Charlie was developing these cards on his computer, coming up with the designs and all that. And then we would actually print these cards up, and then we would play with them at Charlie's house. After a while, we realized that really wasn't working out. And then I'm not sure who found the card simulator, the tabletop simulator, but we found it, and that completely changed how we were able to develop the game. Because now we can just come up with any idea, implement it immediately, see how it worked, understand how it worked. That helped us really narrow down the game rules, the gameplay, a lot of things, because we didn't have to go and make a card and then play with it. We can just go virtually, do it right there, right now, and test it right now and see, does this work for us? No, it doesn't work. Scratch that, keep moving.
It was a way I could take my project and build it digitally, and was the best thing in the world. And I'm sitting there talking with Jason like, man, if we would have known this last year or the year after, we would have saved so much money on dumping into the physical cards. I mean, we could have been beta testing this digitally. And so during the time of COVID, we managed to revamp the whole entire game into a digital aspect. And so we started playing the game digitally on Mondays. Every Monday we'd meet up and we would play the game digitally, beta testing the game, which worked out beautiful. If we had any concerns with any cards, we'd be able to go in and go back digitally, change it, and then digitally upload it back into the system, and then go through the process again. It worked out very well for all of us, and we were all still able to meet up without having to physically meet up during the time of COVID. We reached back out to the artist, and he was telling us that he sustained a little bit of issues during COVID as well, and that he was still interested in pursuing the project, which was great for us. We were like, that's amazing. I go, that was already the open door for us to continue and proceed through the project. So after reaching out to him, we managed to push forward with the project, and he ended up developing a couple of concept art of our first character we're getting developed, which is Saigon.
So when we talk about this game and the longevity and the different kind of expectations of a card game, because you have games that have been in the past where they're still played to this day, and there's people that are 20 years plus into these kind of games. We understand that. We are that population. We are those people. So this game has been planned out to the point where we're creating and making more options for you to take your basic cards that you start off in the beginning, the ones you can get now, and use them all the way to the end of the journey of where you think you're done with building your deck. But on that same end, this gameplay that you're going to learn from us is going to be expanded into multiplayer. It's going to be expanded into a raid boss situation, all the way to a board game version. So it gives you a different aspect of using the same products that you started with all the way to the end.
Our project that we currently have on paper, we have at least a 3 to 4 year stretch campaign once we have released. We have several different game modes within our game that we plan on releasing. The first one's your basic duel mode, which will be your 1 player versus 1 player. We're under development and expansion to that versus mode to extend it to where it could be 3 players versus 3 players. So given 3 players decks versus 3 players decks, we'll be able to go at it at one gameplay, working as a team to take out the other team. So these are other game modes that we're expanding our game to, which of course expansion packs and all that stuff will come into place for that as well. We also have another expansion, which is a raid, essentially, for those that are familiar with games, video games and shooters and stuff like that. A raid where everybody, up to 6 players, will be able to unite together in one table, and in the center of the actual table will be a raid boss, essentially. And it will be a decent sized card. It wouldn't be your traditional size, and of course you're going to be pulling cards to give you scenario bases that you'll have to survive the outcome while developing your character quick enough to defeat the boss during the raid. The boss does strike everybody simultaneously, so you gotta work as a team to keep each other alive. And we have one more game mode, which is our incursion mode currently, and that is gonna be very three-dimensional at that point. You'll still be able to utilize all your cards from all the other previous game modes because they'll all be interlinked and you'll be able to utilize everything backwards compatible. But this one will have figures and have a mat on the board that'll be fully customizable to be able to utilize to build terrain, and range matters. Placement of where your hero is on the board will matter where your other hero is to either target or hit the hero while utilizing your cards to upgrade and build that hero simultaneously. So we have quite a bit of expansions that we plan on doing with the game itself. We do have them jotted down, and we could see our campaign going for a significant amount of time.
So all of these cards can be used in any game mode. Every card has different abilities, they have different functions, so when you're playing the card, it's really important to pay attention to what the card actually does, because some cards have effects that damage complete teams, that damage multiple characters. So all of these cards, they're compatible with all game modes. You can use it in a team-based gameplay, or you can use it in a 1v1 gameplay. It doesn't matter. You use the cards however you feel the need to use the card.
I mean, the challenge is going to be just getting everyone to look and pay attention. I think honestly, once people see this project and they see, hey, this is just something viable that's different, I've never touched anything like this, I think that honestly, the hard part is going to be keeping it from falling off the shelves and keeping it from coming into your hands. Because once you get the understanding of our game and our TCG and our universe, there's nothing but to fall in love with it. It's a little bit of everything that people that are into this genre and this world and this type of sci-fi would fall in love with. Basically, in 2 years, I see us sitting in a place where we're getting the crowdfunding to actually have product out and have people giving us reviews and feedback. I really want to be in 2 years in a place where we're networking with companies to really see what expansions they can go into and seeing where we can delve into making this into a greater light to the people across the world. Because basically every person that I've met or introduced the game to or had tested the game at this point has had nothing but raving reviews about it and have wanted to get their own copies and their own versions of it, basically. And so when I look at it and I see that kind of reaction from the thousands of people that we've already vetted and gameplayed with, I know that we have something here that everyone's going to fall in love with.
So the first thing you need to know is the website, which is VanquishersTCG.com. Go to the website. It has all the information, everything that you could ever need to know about the game. As far as the game itself, it's a sci-fi futuristic game. And I'd say one of the biggest values of this game is that the fighting system is completely unique. There's nothing like it that I have seen. We've been working on this game since 2016. We've been putting a lot of hard work, a lot of effort into getting this game to where we have it now. And we have really ironed out a lot of the issues and problems that we had with this game. And we feel that we know that we have a complete game, something that the community is gonna love. And once they get their hands on it, I know they're gonna go crazy. I know they're gonna see the same thing that I see. So I'd say the biggest part of it is just going out and really looking into it and checking it out and seeing what we have to offer, because you're not gonna find another gameplay like what we have to offer.
I think I get a little bit giddy when I get more people that are interested in asking questions about the game. And wanting to know more and know more. That excites me more so than anything. That's something that I could sit back and create out of my mind now became a reality. It's an amazing feeling to know that people share the same views, and I know that they'll love this game when it actually comes to life.
So when I think about the person on the end that's going to open that package and open that booster pack or open that holograph, and they're going to say, wow, I have this version of the card, or I have this card that I've been waiting for so long. That's the same feeling I got as a kid opening up the pack of card games that I played. And that feeling is something I've never lost, and not something I've never given up, to remember the innocence and the fun and the good in my life. So when I'm looking at the possibility of people to consume this product that's coming from the imagination of some regular old Joes that work 9 to 5s, that have families that they struggle to take care of, I basically say, man, I just want to give you a little bit of that good feeling that I have when I think about those things, when I experience those things, when I can go with someone like my nephew who's so excited to play this game, and he doesn't know, he's in high school, and he doesn't, he grew up in the world of this, where you actually went to tournaments and you actually battled other people. We taught him about collecting and seeing these things, but he never was like competitive. And for me to give it to the collectors, to give it to the competitors, to give it to the people that just want to support and see someone that came from the same bottom as everyone else and grow into something to give the world a little piece of happiness, that's what I want to give the world with this project. This is what I want to give the world with Vanquishers. Something that they can expand into so many different realms, that this is just the beginning. And the crazy part is, once it goes and gets rolling in the direction that we see it, what we're going to steamroll into is going to blow everyone's mind.
Right now we're at the phases where we're going to need a lot of support from the community. This is a game that I know that you'll love as much as I love developing it and playing the game. Right now we're gonna need to develop as a community capital for me to be able to revamp the artwork and all the artwork that is necessary for these cards to be able to release them. We plan on launching a Kickstarter soon, and we really do appreciate everybody that's supporting the movement since day one and that are newcomers coming in supporting the movement of this project. Thank you guys for supporting the Vanquishers project.